Hey, Patreon members. Hope you're doing well. Um, Hope today I'm recording this on Wednesday morning. It's kind of not an experiment. Everything I do is an experiment, but it is more of I'm testing something out. I figure I'm only allowed on Patreon if I record and upload to do 2-minute videos, and I find that because I like to talk. I find it a little bit short, and I think there's more information I want to share with you. And so I decided I'm doing this on YouTube and posting just to Patreon. So, I mean, technically, you could share this with other people if you're interested, if you think it's interesting. But I did want to share with you sort of my thinking right now as to the whole, what's going on with D3 soccer, the message boards, why a Patreon page. And then at the end, I'll just sort of wrap up with the, games today that I have. So hope that's okay with you. First of all, obviously, I do appreciate your support. I know I posted the other day about thoughts about a website and message boards and whatnot. And so I've been getting a lot of great comments. Really helped me think things through, because sometimes I operate with this really narrow lens, and I make a decision and I think, oh, this is the right decision, and your feedback has sort of helped me adjust that, believe it or not. So, and I'll explain that, but let me just so let's just start first of all with the website d3soccer.com. So I'll just say over the last couple years, I've been talking about acquiring or taking over d3soccer.com. And it's literally since I started doing the YouTube channel, my thoughts were about, oh, well, if it could resurrect d3soccer.com, how do we do that? And I have some ideas. Look, I don't mind writing. I have the game notes. I have all this content that I create, that a website would make sense. And so I thought, well, maybe I can acquire the URL d3soccer.com and create another website, which it's all going to be me. So I thought, oh, I could do that. I can modernize it, use something like WordPress and sort of build something out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, if we've been surviving with d3soccer.com as in its current iteration, holy smokes, I don't have to make much of an effort to create a site that people will like to engage with. I don't want to say that's fallen on deaf ears, but that train has sailed. No, that ship has sailed. I just don't want to wait any longer. I don't really see a value in really holding on to the d3soccer.com name. So, I have some other ideas that for a URL that I think will be appropriate. You don't have to .com or .org everything anymore. It could be .tv. It could be, .soccer. So there's a whole slew of different things I can do. So I'm not worried about that. It's just about building and having the time to build it in the midst of all this other stuff. So, but that's sort of happening. I am trying to build out something that I kind of doesn't make me cringe. And I'm just learning as I go. So, second one, and probably the more important thing, was the boards and sort of what to do with the boards and how do we keep that? And it's not so much the activity of the boards. It's that there are some really, really smart folks who post there. Small number, mind you, I totally get that. But there's almost like a brain trust that I don't want to lose out on. So I'm trying to figure out, how do I create a community that allows these guys to, the core of them, J.K. Nezik, Paul Newman, College Soccer Observer. I mean, you recognize all these folks. So, Nipa Fan, Nezcac One, like all these guys that have really deep knowledge of the game in D3, and so I'm trying to think of that, and I'm not sure if it becomes maybe it becomes a message board, and I figure out a way in which these guys can post almost like their own content on the website, leveraging some sort of community so that other people can see and other people can chime in, not by having to drill into a message board, but being there on the website or some form or fashion. You get it. And that would include all of you as well, because the only way this is going to work is if I can sort of bring a community of D3 lovers together, right? I think that's totally made sense on the YouTube side. It makes sense from a Patreon perspective, which I'm going to talk about now, and then it obviously is critical is critical on a website, just to have some value, and it can't be obligated. I can't expect, so I got to sort of think about that as well, right? People have lives. I supposedly do too. So, and then lastly, just, cost, right? Like the reason why D3Soccer.com is D3Soccer.com as we know it today is because no one really ever, I don't want to say ever. Maybe there was an effort, I don't know, years ago to try to sort of make it at least cost neutral for people so that at least it's self-sustaining. Right now I know, or used to be, like they were paying for the website, and so I have to figure out ways to financially make this viable because I don't want to sink money down a rabbit hole and then end up with in the same spot we are 2 years from now. So I'm really trying to be thoughtful. So YouTube, obviously, if you've noticed, there are ads there. It's not a lot, believe me. If I make $1 a day, I'm super excited, right? It's usually 50 cents, 60 cents, 75 cents. Some during the season, it jumps a little bit because I get a little bit more higher hit rate. So there's that avenue, and I just got to keep growing that and trying to monetize there. But then also this Patreon page, which is twofold, right? Like if you're really committed to Division 3, like you are, and you support me there'll be a different avenue for you to pursue, and to talk and to see things, and selective content, that sort of thing. And so with that, I hope, okay, so I'm not expecting thousands of dollars. I'm just, hey, if it's going to cost me $1,000 a year to run a website, can I make $1,000 through these avenues? And I think I can, right? Like, I think it's there. I think the demand is there. I still need to, the YouTube is going to be critical because I still need to grow that, right? Like that's ideally, double, triple, quadruple the size. Like I just got to keep plugging away. And the beauty about YouTube is that, people subscribe for a bunch of different reasons, right? Maybe it's not Division 3 soccer, maybe it's the shorts that I do, and so they by default find other things, and so there's that. So as I mentioned, I'm sort of organizing around this thought of just sort of what I'm at, based on what I've just told you. I'm looking at organizing, creating a new website. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, to be quite honest with you. Maybe after the season when it's not too crazy and I can sort of dedicate some time to it. So and that includes scheduling, having the schedule of teams, or even if it's just sort of the key games that I think maybe I could do a schedule there. part of that is going to include some form of free community in which these, the best of the best can highlight their ideas, and that have other people who can join in and not be tethered to it's just going to be a message board, right? Which I don't think is going to go anywhere, because I think I've commented before that the notion of message boards, I think, has gone the wayside. I think obviously Twitter is a lot more important, right or wrong, than the message boards, and I think they're dwindling in importance for how people communicate. And then lastly, I think you can see sort of the financial aspect of it, as I mentioned, in YouTube, Patreon, and then ultimately where I'd want to get to is have some sort of advertising platform across, the anti-social media, Twitter, Instagram, and then obviously YouTube and a website. So I'd have a little bit of a platform in which I'm not saying I'm going to break the bank. Again, it's all about how do I cover cost here. So I just wanted to get that out there again. All of you who are members have been invaluable to me, and just sort of information that you provide, and sort of the great information you give me. Obviously, the support, very helpful. And so you guys are kind of like the tip of the spear for me, and so I'm just bouncing this off on you. So as you think about this and sort of go through this, feel free. You can comment down below on the YouTube video, or even better, just do it on the Patreon page. You can apply any comments and thoughts about sort of what I've disclosed, and you can even, if you'd like, share the YouTube video with folks that you want. I would appreciate if you don't post it, but you could share it, if anything, because maybe you can get them to become members of the Patreon for the page. So self-serving, I know. So that's that. That's sort of what I wanted to share with you. And then lastly, I just figured, since I'm at it, I might as well talk to you about some games I'm going to be watching. There's a bunch of really, really good games out there on the women's side. Take a look at Messiah at Dickinson. Out in Cali, Occidental at Cal Lutheran could be pretty good. Cal Lutheran at 7-0-1. I would say go out west. Simpson at Wisconsin Eau Claire will be very good. An OAC battle, Worcester at Baldwin Wallace. It's part of the pay-per-view conference, so you can't. Unless you're paying, you won't be able to watch it. But Gettysburg travels to Catholic, 3-3-1 Gettysburg at 4-2-2 Catholic. I think that might be a pretty decent game. An NJAC brawl here. College of New Jersey travels to Kane. College of New Jersey at 5-1-1. Kane at 2-5-1. I'm not. Maybe the soccer's not good, but this is the NJAC. So, fisticuffs, you know what I mean? But then the game, I would just say, if you're looking for one to highlight some great, great soccer, University of Scranton, 4-2-2, travels to Misericordia at, 4-3. So, that's the women's side. On the men's side, holy smokes, you got some games. Wesleyan at Tufts. Calvin at Chicago. 7-2 Calvin versus 5-1-1 Chicago. Quite frankly, I think this might be it's an important game for Calvin, but I think it's a more important game for Chicago. I'll just say, looking at the rankings, like I'm not sure the conviction is there for Chicago anymore, like it was last year. So I would think that they would want to make a statement. RPI travels to Oneonta. Oneonta, I think I have them at number 3 in this Simple Coach Top 25. John Carroll at North Park. That should be a banger. Both 5-2-1. Let's see. Roanoke travels to Washington and Lee down the highway. I think it's a hot game. Right? They don't like each other, or if maybe they like each other, but they don't like each other, if you know what I mean. And then, but I think the game that I'd be watching, if I can, Plattsburgh at SUNY New Paltz. I think that's going to be a cracker of a game. I'm a fan of SUNY New Paltz at 6-1-1, and Plattsburgh State is at 5-0-2. Again, the New York schools are really coming big. The SUNYs, Oneonta, Cortland, New Paltz, obviously Plattsburgh. They're playing some really good soccer up there. I don't know if it's the water or what, but yeah. All right, folks. So that's it. Appreciate you taking the time. Again, I really value your support, and your commentary is invaluable. At some point, I will figure out a way to reward you all for your, you jumping into the fray with me. So, all right. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.